You are listening to the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast with your host, Eric Logan. No Gimmicks, Just Sweat is dedicated to hearing the journeys and unique stories behind an athlete's training and what drives them. Get inspired to own your life and make the impossible possible. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Also, please take a few seconds to rate the show and drop me a review. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of No Gimmicks, Just Sweat, where today we welcome Shauna Howard, who, if you are online and you follow cycling, she's better known as Cycle Bae. Shauna, how are you doing today?
Hi, Eric. Hi.
Hi. Smiling. Yes. Always. Thank you for coming on to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I think you invited me, right? Did I?
Yes, I invited you. Yes, I invited you.
I tend to, be pretty straightforward. If I see someone has a podcast, I'm like, "Hi, I'm Shauna." Hi.
Well, that's what you do.
That's what you do. That's what you do. And I do it because I do it because it's my instinct not to do it. Shauna,
really?
Yeah, oh God, yes. Shauna would absolutely be like, nah, if you contact me, you contact me. But Cycle Bae is like, no, girl, just go out and introduce yourself to people and let the world know that a person like you exists. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this is going to be an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get started with the show. So we're going to do a little icebreaker. It's
Okay.
Two truths and a lie.
Okay.
But you don't tell me whether I'm right or wrong with my guess until the end of the show. Okay?
Oh, shoot. I just realized what you said. Okay, I have to come up with two
truths
and a lie. I thought you were going to give me two truths and a lie. Okay, all right. And that makes sense because you're interviewing me. I'm not interviewing you. That makes sense.
This sounds like it's going to be a fun conversation.
I'm like, shoot. Okay. All right. So two truths and a lie. Whew. Oh my goodness. Why didn't you tell me to think about this earlier? I would have had perfect one.
I'm keeping you on your toes.
I might have to log back into my Tinder account and see what I put on there. Cause I remember one of those apps asked me like two truths and a lie in order to connect. Like, oh my gosh. Okay. Two truths and a lie. Okay. Okay. Oh gosh, this is so difficult. Why are you doing this to me? Because the problem
You didn't read the full email, did you?
The problem is like I'm a really good liar, but which is why I tell the truth a lot. So my God, people will believe anything I say, and I used to take advantage of that, and then I realized that's probably not cool. Okay, okay, two truths and a lie. Oh, okay, all right. So here we go. At the turn of the century, I debuted as a vocalist with a symphony.
Okay.
Why is this so difficult, man? Okay. I flipped a coin between Pittsburgh and Los Angeles. No, that ain't good. No, that ain't good. That ain't good. Okay. This is one you're gonna have to edit out a lot. Okay. All right. So I I love shopping. Wait, what was the first one?
You debuted as a vocalist with a symphony.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I debuted as a professional vocalist with a symphony. I love shopping, and I love competing.
Okay. I'm going to say the lie is I love shopping.
Okay.
But you don't say anything. We'll come back to it at the end.
Right. Okay.
All right. So tell me, Shauna, about you and your story. And I always tell people to think about it as you're a superhero and this is your origin story. You obviously have a alter ego in the Cycle Bae. So you have that superhero.
I read his book. Yes, I did. Okay. Yes, I did. Yes. My origin story is, Cycle Bae's origin story started in 2020 during the pandemic. So professionally, I'm born and raised in North Carolina. I lived in Pittsburgh. I lived in Philly. Lived in Pittsburgh for 5 years. Philly for 10 years, and I was on tour in Europe for a few months. And I came to Los Angeles after I was on tour to visit with a friend, and I never left. I've been a professional artist and vocalist here for a while. Just one of those musicians that hustle, trying to get work, get paid, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And I thought that was life. Like, I thought everybody did that. I thought I was hustling for agents. I was hustling for management. I was just here and had part-time jobs and, wanted to see what life was like in here and all of this stuff. And then, I felt like my life was very similar to most people's lives. For fun, I crochet. For fun, I love salsa dancing. I'm just, somebody that minds her business and just tries to live a happy Black woman's life, right?
Right.
And then the pandemic happened. And I remember I was out having a drink with a girlfriend of mine who, and we got notifications on the phone or actually the bartender was like, hey, bar's going to be shut down tomorrow. And I'm like, that's okay. I don't really come here that often anyway. And she was miserable. She's like, oh my God, why can't I come tomorrow? And so he said, yeah, like it's going to be a shutdown. And it went over my head. I was like, oh, shut down. Okay, maybe they're going out of business. Okay, no problem. And so I went home and the pandemic started.
Okay.
And then I got emails and phone calls from the people that I work with, the companies that I've worked for, the agencies that I've worked with, and everyone that, because of this virus that was going around, don't come into work, don't do this, don't do that. And I was like, oh, cool. I mean, I have a company called Fierce Stitch where I make winter accessories. And anytime I have some time off of work, I'm constantly making things and photographing them and putting them on my website and things like that. So I was like, oh, cool. Okay, we're in quarantine. Oh, it's going to be for like 2 weeks. All right. Yeah. Oh, great. 2 weeks of just crocheting and going out salsa dancing. Okay, fine. And then they were like, nah, social distancing. Like, no, you can't go out dancing. And I'm like, the fuck? What? And then it hit me a few days later that I was stuck inside.
Mm.
And as a professional singer and a dancer and an artist, to be stuck inside, I was confused at the core. I was just confused. I'm like, well, how do I work?
Right.
Wait, what?
Right.
How am I supposed to work? How am I supposed to work if I can't stand beside of a choir member and sing for the congregation? How am I supposed to work if I can't go on set and What do you mean I don't understand. How do I not stand? Because social distancing for me was the hardest part. It was like, I can't stand next to people. That's all I have done my whole life for work.
Mm-hmm.
Some people work at home. Some people work and they're very distant from people. Me, I work in connection with people.
Okay.
And so I was so confused. And to add insult to injury, like, I love washing my hands. I love, like, because I stand close to people to work. I don't want your germs. I don't want to share mine with you if I have any. Like, what do you mean I can't work? It's just, it really, really messed me up for a while. And so instead of sitting down and accepting the fact that I was going to be unemployed indefinitely, I was living in a house with, I had housemates. I'd rented a room in a house here, and I turned to my housemates and I was like, hey, can I borrow the bike? I need to get out. Like, I know I'm supposed to be sitting down and being still, but like, I got to get out. Right. Anybody need anything from the grocery store? Like, and I volunteered. I was like, hey, I'll volunteer to go to the grocery store. And I started riding my bike through the neighborhood. And I would ride my bike to the grocery store that was right down the street, two blocks down the street. And then, the next day, oh, crap, we ran out of eggs. It's okay. I'll go get them. Grab my backpack, borrow their bike again. And then, I'd go to another grocery store much further away. Mm-hmm. And eventually, a couple days a week, if someone whiffed that they needed something from somewhere, I was like, oh, I'll go get it. No problem. I'll go get it. And so the only stores that I remember seeing open, of course, were the grocery stores, the liquor stores, the dispensaries, and the bike shops. And even the bike shops were kind of distant. And so I bought a helmet and I dropped the bike that I borrowed off to the local bike shop that was at the end of the block in my neighborhood. And I said, yeah, I'm riding this bike a lot. It's, can I get it fixed up? Can I get it tuned up? And they're like, oh yeah, drop it off and, come pick it up. It's $100, I guess. And I was like, okay, no problem. So I did that. And I was the errand person in my home. Mm. And I just decided, like, okay, I don't know what is going on. I don't like watching the news.
Right.
I've never been, news feels like gossip to me. So I've never been into watching the news, even as I was a kid. I'm like, oh God, y'all are just gossiping. Like, turn it off. But yeah, so I just borrowed my housemate's bike and became so happy. Mm-hmm. Eric. Oh my goodness. I remember this like it was yesterday. I remember the sad and depressed yet performative mm-hmm. Shauna dissipating. Or not dissipating, but like coming out, I realized that all I was doing by having a career as an artist, as a vocalist, and as a performer was that I was just performing literally and figuratively for people. Okay. And I had not met, it's not that I hadn't met the genuine Shauna, the original Shauna, it's that I had pushed her away in order to survive.
Interesting. Okay.
I had pushed her away. I knew I could sing. I knew I could dance. And I knew that the world was telling me that I was an attractive woman. And so I just used everything I could in order to make a career out of it. And I wasn't listening I had ignored or pushed down who I had always been in order to make a living. Okay. So cycling helped to kind of bring all that stuff out and bring it all up to the front. And I remember and especially when I started joining cycling clubs, I started riding with bike clubs. I would I would do my errands. I was running errands for people that I lived with, and then I would run into 2 or 3 other cyclists on the road, and they're like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hi, hi." As if I was the person who had found happiness for the first time in life. I'm like, hey, do you know, are you as happy as me?
Like, that's just like a kid on a bike.
Oh my goodness.
A young kid on a bike. That's what they are. They're waving. Hey.
Except me as a young kid, a young Black American female little girl growing up in rural North Carolina, it was not safe for me to wave at people.
Right.
So I never experienced that as a child. I experienced riding my bike long, or not even long distances, but in the neighborhood. I remember that. But I remember my dad clearly telling me, don't speak to nobody, don't say nothing. Mm-hmm. These are not your neighbors the way that the Bible says they are. These are your enemies.
Okay.
It's not safe for you. You need to be back in 20 minutes. Otherwise, I'm coming to look for you. And with the undertone of safety, of course, with the undertone of, it wasn't like I was running away on a bike into a conservative neighborhood. Like, I wasn't doing that, but I was, I had limitations put over me.
Yes.
Because I was a little girl riding my bike in a predominantly white conservative neighborhood.
Yes.
So I had my childhood was quite limited. So when I started riding my bike as during the pandemic, I was now experiencing a part of childhood that other people talk about freely.
Interesting. Okay.
And I did it at 40. I did it at 40 years old.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, I'm not saying that there is. Yeah. I'm just pointing out the fact that at 40 years old, I felt like a kid for the first time.
And sometimes that can be a good thing, if you feel like a kid.
It was freeing. It was freeing. But what I'm talking about in deeper detail is adultification.
Yes.
So when, I was the child that was expected to act like an adult because I never had the privilege of being a child. Because little Black girl. Yeah. Okay. And I'm sure lots of women who listen to this, hopefully, I'm sure that you have a broad and diverse audience here, but I'm sure that lots of Black women understand and can empathize or at least sympathize with, being adultified as a child. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't know what it was like to just go outside and play with friends. I had chores. I had responsibilities.
Right.
So at 40 years old, I now knew what it was like to just go outside and play. Mm-hmm. And, it was so profound that I took my insurance and was like, "Ooh, I need some help." Okay. I need some help. Hi, therapy. Yes. Hi, I'm Shauna. Give me a checklist because I'm about to be an A student with you. It was overwhelming. It was overwhelming. It was overwhelming the amount of joy that I experienced during our most tragic time in society. Here we are. We had people who were dying and passing away of COVID-19 during the pandemic, and also people who still to this day are still suffering from long COVID. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, I done lost 70 pounds. My skin is clear. Yep. I'm wearing kits. I'm meeting people on bikes and riding and being noticed for being a cyclist and being interviewed for different opportunities that involve health and wellness and fitness. And I'm winning, but my God, I felt guilty.
Well, you're seeing success. You felt happiness, a joy that, one of the things that sometimes happens is that, we go through life and we think we're happy. We think we're full of joy. We think everything's going well until that one thing, it could be a thing, it could be a person that, appears in our life, or that event happens. And then all of a sudden, you feel like, as you were saying, when you were riding a bike, you were experiencing, what a kid feels like for the first time.
Yeah.
you experience a different
Yeah.
type of joy. It
Yeah.
makes you question what you thought was joy and what you thought was happiness, from the past.
And here's the crazy thing. Well, not crazy, but here's the honest thing. Since, you said this is going to be the interview that this is going to be. But, no, I knew back then that I wasn't happy. I didn't know. I had no idea what joy was. I could perform joy. I could sing songs about joy.
Mm-hmm.
I could perform joy.
Right.
But I did not know personally what joy was. I didn't know what happiness was. Happiness was external of me. I didn't know. I battled with 40 years of generational and personal depression. And I was functional. And I was and not even functional, not even just functional, but I was I had turned to the arts to try and understand humanity.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I had no problem acting and singing and performing all of these human experiences, all of these human emotions, but I was dead inside when I came home. I was absolutely empty and lifeless inside. And here's the thing, anybody who listens to this podcast, who knew me prior to the pandemic, they probably wouldn't know that. But I'm here to tell you, I had no idea what life was like. I thought suicide was very close to me.
Wow.
Very, very close. So when I tell you the pandemic and cycling saved my life, it absolutely did. And therapy, don't get me wrong, and therapy as well. It absolutely saved my life. And so it's been, another reason why I'm grateful to talk with you today, because that's part of my journey as a practitioner now, as an educator and practitioner, now is wellness. It's rooted. What I do now is rooted in wellness, and cycling is very much so a part of that wellness plan for me.
And so with cycling, just hearing that,
yes,
and I always tell people, therapy there's nothing wrong with it. There's a stigma about it, and sometimes people will use other things as their therapy. But it's not like you combine, that external outdoor therapy of cycling with, professional therapy.
Yeah, I did.
And did you see that as kind of enhancing both things, that getting out, getting that freedom of riding and cycling, that made you open up more and be more forthcoming when you were going to professional therapy, and vice versa? Did you feel a little bit more comfortable and relaxed and free when you were out cycling?
Well, I always knew that there was something that was off. Okay. Don't get me wrong. At the core of who I have been my whole life, I've always been a happy Black girl. I've always been a happy Black girl. But at the same time, a great portion of my happiness was performative. It was safety. It was from a place of safety. Because again, I grew up in rural North Carolina, a neighborhood right outside of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I grew up in a conservative neighborhood. I went to a conservative, predominantly white high school, college, everything. And so in order to be the only Black girl or the only Black person in a predominantly white conservative environment, I could not be the authentic Shauna that was at home or that was at church.
Right.
I had to placate and code switch.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's code switching.
Yeah, we call it code switching, or not call it, but that's what it is, code switching. And so for a long time, I code switched so much that I didn't really know who I was.
Wow.
I code switched so often that I didn't know who I was. I knew what I could do. Right. I knew how to make other people feel safe around me. I knew how to get home safely. I knew how to get money and do all of that. But sit with myself, I didn't know how to do that. I knew how to distract myself with the arts, with music, with dance, with singing, with taking care of other people,
Mm-hmm.
of being available to other people, being the mule for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like I told you, when I was living in the home, when I was living in the house, when I was renting the room in the house, my instinct was, who needs something from the grocery store? I'll go get it.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Because that was instinctive for me. Now, granted, that instinct turned me into Cycle Bae, but that was still my instinct. A lot of people, I've met a ton of people since the pandemic who were like, oh my God, I'm an introvert, so the pandemic was great for me. And I'm like, well, that just proves I'm not an introvert, because the pandemic was not necessarily great. I mean, I absolutely experienced some transformative things that occurred during the pandemic. But when I sat by myself, it was not great. It's not great to lose your job for 2 years.
Right.
It's not great to take government handouts for 2
Mm-hmm.
years, knowing that you're able-bodied,
Right.
It's not great. And even being able-bodied, and taking government handouts, there was some guilt behind that. Like, here I am, I'm fully capable of working. My resume looks like, come on, you want this girl at your job, your company,
Right.
your institution. Like, and I can't work because I can't stand next to people. Okay, this is weird.
Right.
So yeah, there was some wonderful things that happened, but I knew that I was not introverted. I was miserable, and I had to address that misery. And so, to answer your question, I think the expression is that, yes, it was transformative, but it was a quantum leap for me. I was doing all the things that the psychologists and the leaders in positive psychology were saying to do. I was doing them without even knowing what those things were. Oh, I was eating right. Yes. I was exercising. Absolutely. Exercise. And I didn't even think about it as exercise. I thought about it as like, no, I got to go to the grocery store.
Right. Exactly.
I got to go to the grocery store. And then, of course, when I started meeting up I met other cyclists and started joining bike clubs and cycling groups and cycling teams and things like that, then it became exercise. But my number one motivation behind it was, I was angry. I was sad. I was pissed. I was miserable because I wasn't on stage performing. I wasn't working.
Right.
I felt guilty for being outside playing all the time, but not able to work. But then therapy helped me to get over that. So,
well, that's why I was going to ask. You with cycling,
yes,
and like what you just said, that you were feeling, angry, you're mad, because you couldn't do what what's your passion, the singing, the acting, how did you not get angry or mad with cycling and seeing that as a distraction? I'm still not doing what I can do, what I should be doing.
Wait, so the question one more time, how did I not get angry at cycling?
Yes. How did, you didn't say like, you know what, I'm still not singing, I'm still not acting.
There's a lot of people that heard me sing. Don't get me wrong. I made lots of playlists. I probably pissed a whole lot of people off singing along while climbing up mountains and stuff.
So riding with you would be fun because you're gonna sing while we ride.
Oh, totally. So if you like somebody singing to you while you're riding, come grab my wheel, please. Yes. Okay. Yes. But at the same time, and also you can easily tell when it gets to be too hard, because I'm like, fuck, and then I start singing. I stop singing. So yeah, yeah. I start off and I'm like, okay, all right, here we go.
But then
that's what I feel now. And then when the beat drop, I'm excited. And then when the climb,
that climb starts,
and you don't hear Shauna singing no more. So yeah, that's it. It's a wrap. Oh, Shauna will come up. She know how to get here. Yep, sure do. When I get to the top, I'm like, yep, I made it. And then catch my breath and start singing again. Because singing is a distraction for me, honestly. Like when I'm riding and if I'm singing along to something, I I don't wear earbuds now. I used to wear earbuds and have music playing often while I was riding, but I don't do it now just for safety reasons.
Right.
But back in the day when I first started, oh yeah, there's a lot of people in Los Angeles that know that I sing when I'm riding because I mean, number one, it's just what I do. It's not showing off or anything like that. It's fully distracting. I'm distracting myself from the fact that we are at mile 50 something and ain't nobody said, let's stop and get some food. Like I am just trying to keep myself focused on the fact that there is a steak waiting for me at home or whatever, you know? So yeah, I'm just trying to like keep everything nice and cool. I will say, like, you know, I was thinking back to, you said, how did I not get angry? Was that the question?
Yes.
Okay. No, I cussed a lot of people out. Like yeah, it's cycling. It's cycling. You cussing yourself out. You cussing the people out in front of you. I was like, oh, I get to curse. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah, a whole lot of people in Los Angeles. Yeah, there's some neighborhoods that I probably shouldn't ride through anymore because I've cussed so much. But you know, it's also, you got to get it out, you know. And I got 40 years worth to get out.
It's therapy.
It is. You journal and you cuss people out. Like, you know?
Journal and cuss people out.
That's it. You meditate and you like, look, come on. Come on. No, that the common denominator, the common thread is honesty. So, you know, there's that. But yeah, that was pretty much my story of my why. Why did I get into cycling? Cycling at first was just getting out of the house and not getting frustrated with the people that I was living with, and also not getting trying a way to just not be frustrated with the fact that, you know, I just lost my job. I used to say I lost my career, but I didn't lose my career. I lost my job. I lost my I during this interview, I'm going to reframe that often because I have to. So pardon me for doing that. But yeah, I lost most of my work, if not all of it at the time. And I was angry. And for the first time, I allowed myself to be angry. I heard so many people like, oh, I'm upset. I can't see my family. Oh, I'm upset. I can't see my friends. My family never visited me here. So I wasn't upset about not having my family around. Right. That wasn't a reality for me anyway. Right. My friends, I mean, there were so many people that I thought were my friends, and in actuality, they were my coworkers, or they were my colleagues, or they were my this or my that. So it helped me to reframe the way that I related to people. Mm-hmm. The people that I lived with, oh my gosh, they were great until I actually was indoors with them all day long. And I'm like, damn, you don't wash the dishes? Gosh, you know, we got a whole virus going on out here and you not washing dishes? Okay. All right. Oh, y'all expect me to be the maid. Yeah, I'm out. I'm leaving. And so that's it. It was 2 years of that, of dealing with, of really dealing with who I was and who I allowed myself to be to other people. And then realizing like, no, I'm dope. I don't have to do this. I don't have to settle for this way of living. I live in a wonderful city and I ride a bike and I can create my own reality. And so the pandemic helped me to do that. Thanks, cycling. So cycling. Yeah. Okay.
So at what point did Cycle Bae just become official?
Okay. So
he's trying to say, boom, I'm Cycle Bae.
Okay. So there's 3 parts to, there's three stories that kind of intertwine. They probably all happened within a week of each other. I'm not going to name any names, although I will send this interview to them. Because every time I tell them this story, they start blushing, and I'm like, "No, I'm dead ass serious. Like this is it." So there's a club that I started riding with. Actually, I'm not even gonna name names because it might get People might start blushing, but nevertheless, I'll give some general information. When I started riding with cycling clubs, there was one particular club in Los Angeles that I joined immediately, and I started riding with them. And obviously, I started tracking my routes and my rides on the app called Strava. I'm sure your listeners are familiar with that. Yeah. And so next thing you know, I went from like no followers to like 1,000 because new Black woman riding in Los Angeles who's like happy and shit, So
right.
And I would talk to everybody that's like, good job, Shauna. I'm like, oh, thanks. I don't get, I'm like, yeah, nice to see you too. I thought this app was pretty cool. It acts as a social media platform for athletes. Mm-hmm. And so there was one particular person who had followed me, and every time I did a route, he would comment on my ride. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. Oh, he's the homie. And man, I've never met him before, but okay, cool. So then, like I said, back in the day, there was this one particular club that I started riding with. And I had a girlfriend in the club also. And she was like an older version of who I wanted to be when I grew up. She was so happy, so positive, so healthy, so this, so that. She was dope. So shout out to you, Danielle. Shout out to you, girl. Like my God, queen of queens of queens. Okay. So anyway, so I remember I was riding with her one day and I was late for the ride. I show up and I'm eating my apple and I'm coming into the ride and I pull up and it's time to, peel out and start on the ride. And, the dude from Strava who had been commenting, he pulled over to me. He was like, "You're Shauna, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's up? Hey." And he's like, "I knew that was you. You came out here with an apple in your mouth, just all late as ever, saying good morning to everybody, like you getting ready to just lay the hammer down on everyone." And I'm like, I have no idea what you mean, but sure. Okay. And so he then peels back. My homegirl comes up next to me as we're in the Peloton, and she was like, "Girl, were you talking to Redacted?" Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know who he is, but he was talking to, I don't know, whatever." And she's like, "Girl, that's Cycle Bae." And I was like, "Huh? Who's Cycle Bae? Like, what does that mean, Cycle Bae?" So I take another look at him when we get halfway through the ride, when we take our break. And I look this man up and down, and I'm like, "Dang, they make him like that in cycling? Okay, all right, cool." So I go over and I formally introduce myself to him. I'm like, "Hi, I'm Shauna. I just realized who you are." And he's like, "Yeah, I've been following you." And I'm like, "I need you to follow me more, because like, my Lord." And so we had a big laugh about that. So that's one story about Cycle Bae. There's a particular gentleman here in the cycling community that the ladies call Cycle Bae. Secondly, Giordana Cycling invited me to be a brand ambassador for them within the first 2 years of riding. I joined the cycling team. I never went anywhere with the team because they didn't understand sponsorships. It was a very confusing team to be a part of. I didn't race with them, but they were sponsored by Giordana Cycling. And I like Giordana. We have a lot of things in common. They're Italian. I studied opera in college and I've sung Italian arias, and they were born in 1979 and so was I. Like little things like that. Their North American distribution center is out of North Carolina, and I'm from North Carolina. So, I sent an email to them and was like, "Hey, you guys sponsor the team, but I just want you to know that we have some common denominators as well." And so they sent me 2 kits, and one of my girlfriends at the time took the first photos that she took of me was in the Giordana kits. And she took the photos, and I was kind of nervous. I'm like, I'm in this tight ass outfit, like, oh God. And so she says, "Okay, Cycle Bae." And I'm like, that's the second time I heard this name. okay, well, Cycle Bae it is. So I just went with it.
Okay.
There's that. The third one, I said there was a third one, but I forgot what it was. But it was a name that came to me. It was a name that I heard somewhere within the community, and it stuck with me. I never had a nickname. I was always the person that gave myself a nickname. So I was a corny kid that didn't like have social skills or wasn't allowed to have social skills.
Okay,
Rather,
right.
was, Black girl in conservative neighborhoods. So I would give myself nicknames in every adventure that I've ever had, in every professional or entrepreneurial adventure that I've ever had. I always gave myself a nickname. And so in cycling, I'm Cycle Bae. So yeah.
Okay. So if I come to Los Angeles and
Yes.
I'm looking for Cycle Bae,
listen,
are they going to point me to you, or are they going to point me to somebody else?
Depends on what neighborhood you're in. Okay? Depends on what neighborhood. In the majority of the neighborhoods, they'll point you to me. Okay. One neighborhood, they might be like, I'm sorry, tell me that one more time.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, that's me. It's always, I love hearing it because I know that I hear it from somebody who is also a cyclist.
Right.
And I think it fits my character. I think it fits my personality and my character. Yes, I'm a cyclist. Bae, for those who are corny like me, bacon, egg, and cheese, bacon and egg. Sorry, bacon and egg. Yeah. For those who are cool and hip, Bae is then like a friend or a lover. I'm happy to be associated in positive ways to people. I love it. I think if you don't know anything about cycling, or if you are just a lovely person and you want to be lovely to other people, then you got a Bae. You got a Cycle Bae. So that's it.
It fits you. It fits you.
I think it's nice.
We've been talking. Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. So with cycling, have you primarily just been cycling in Los Angeles, or have you traveled to cycle in other areas of the United States?
I visited my family in North Carolina, and I brought. I wasn't able to ride in North Carolina, but I prepared myself as if I was going to ride. I brought pedals, I brought bottles, I brought my helmet, shoes, outfits, and everything. But the whole time that I was there, it turned out it rained. So I wasn't able to ride there. I did ride in Florida one time. I was invited by another cyclist to come to Florida and participate in this fundraisers. I don't remember what it was fundraising for, but it was a century, and it was flat. That's all I remember. It was flat and humid, and so that was challenging. The flat was no problem. It was great to be able to ride and not think about hills, but the humidity, my good Lord,
It's Florida. So yeah,
it's Florida. And like, I grew up in North Carolina and spent, most of my life, I mean, with the exception of the past 9 years here living on the West Coast, I know what humidity is. It's great for curly hair. It's great for, it's great for flowers. It's great for, it's not great for cycling. So shout out to people who ride bikes in humidity. Like, it's, my Lord, my God. Yeah.
Look, I'm in Georgia, so that humidity in Georgia.
The worst humidity.
Yeah.
You got offensive humidity. So
yes, we do.
Yes. Your humidity was born in Georgia, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Born and raised. Yes.
Born, raised, and decide not to leave.
Exactly. Just stay there. Just live there. There in Vietnam, maybe. That's where like, yeah. My God. So yeah, I don't experience humidity here in Southern California. There's no humidity. And when it happens to show up, it's like a quick reminder and then it goes away. But it definitely affects, your breathing and your output when you're riding. So, and my condolences to people who have like asthma or any sort of like respiratory concerns. Like it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. So yeah.
And the reason why I asked that question, I just want to kind of see what your experience was with different riding groups, across the country. That's why I was asking, had you ridden anywhere else in the country?
Oh yes. So I am the individual. I'm the person who's never met a stranger.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have no problems just showing up on somebody's ride and being like, "Hi, I'm Shauna."
Okay.
Yeah, I have no problems doing that. Mainly because, so I live in Los Angeles. I live in Hollywood, and I'm not like this is my home now, but this isn't where I'm from.
Right.
I don't know. I don't have a personal connection really to any neighborhood here in Los Angeles. So I'm always curious about Los Angeles County, Orange County. What does it look like over there? What kind of candy they got over there? How do they do tacos over there? It's, as someone who's not from the area, cycling has been a way for me to explore the city that I live in, or, the area that I live in. And so while, one of the beautiful things about cycling, and this happens with other communities and with other activities, but particularly in cycling, since that's what we're talking about, one of the great things about being a part of an activity that's as social and as diverse, intention-wise, as cycling, is that everyone does it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's done for different reasons and for different purposes. So, a bike that you can buy off of Craigslist or off of OfferUp, a $100 bike can take you to and from work.
Yes.
It can take you to and from your, to get groceries. It can take you from point A to point B. That same bike is going to be a little difficult to ride in like a race, but there are bikes that are designed for that purpose. There are bikes that are designed for different intentions. So there's bikes where you can ride to and from work, or that you can climb mountains, or mixed roads, or flat roads, or paved roads, not so much flat roads. There's rides for just cruising around and hanging out with friends. Mm-hmm. There's bikes for exercising. There's bikes for commuting. There's bikes they serve a purpose. Bikes are not toys. They are tools. Bikes are not toys. They are tools. For the Holy Ghost, bikes are not toys. They are tools, and not, it's so, and I say that repetitively, because once you learn about cycling and once you start acclimating your curiosity around what type of cycling you want to do, there is a bike out there for you, or at least a type of bike out there for you, when it's in your budget, and hopefully you're buying a used one and really taking care of your bike mechanic when getting it serviced. So yeah, I would join various bike clubs, and this is in 2020, 2021. If there was a bike club that I read about that was going to a neighborhood or an area in Los Angeles County that I had never been to, then I would just show up. Okay. Or I would send a message to the ride leader and say, "Hi, my name is Shauna Howard, and I'm at the core, I'm corny. So I'm like, "Hi, my name is Shauna Howard, and I just started cycling in 2020 during the pandemic. And if it's okay with you, I would like to join your ride." And they're like, "Who are you?" Like, of course you can join. It says on the flyer, "Come as you are," whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I would just show up, and I showed up, and I'm a personable person. I have no problems meeting people, and being social. But my whole purpose was to just learn Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. My purpose was, like, I wanted to see what the PCH looked like, what the Pacific Coast Highway looked like, right. And what did it look like on a bike, or what did it look like to ride it at the Rose Bowl or in Pasadena, or, Long Beach. I can get from my house to Long Beach? Like, just the bike path? Wow. Okay. And there's a group that's doing it. It was for safety purposes. I would just jump on a bike and ride with people that I didn't know, and explore various parts of Los Angeles.
Okay. Is there a place anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world that you was like, drop me off with my bike, leave me alone, let me explore?
Oh, please. That's very easy. Okay.
First, you kind of sound like here, hold my beer. Oh, you understand? Here, hold my beer.
Man, I've been waiting for people to ask me that question ever since I got a bike. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I fantasize about riding my bike in Puerto Rico, in Colombia, in the Dominican Republic, in Cuba, in the Caribbean in general. I fantasize about that mainly because I'm a Latin dancer. I've been a salsa dancer for 15, maybe 20 years now. I don't even know. So to be able to wake up early in the morning, go for a 50-mile ride, come home, have some mofongo, and then go explore, and then later on that evening go out salsa dancing, you talking to the core of who I am. I'm very comfortable doing all of those things. I might not come back to Hollywood if I do, to be honest.
It's my new home.
Hey y'all. Hi, I'm Shauna. Yeah, I'm sure I would not want to, especially if they got a job for me. So, right. So yeah, that's that. I'm a classically trained vocalist. So obviously in England, I would love to ride my bike in England, in France, in Germany, in Spain, in Portugal, and Austria. I mean, any of the Western European countries I have visited before. I would love to go back as a cyclist. Cycling, the type of cycling that I do, which is road. I have a road bike, and I ride a road bike. To be able to see the Tour de France, to be able to see any of those races that occur in Europe, I think that would be so much fun. Yes. Because of the there's a lot of hobbies that I have that are international, such as, singing and salsa dancing and cycling. So I'm kind of like, you put me anywhere in the world and I know I'm gonna find my community. So I'm going to find them because of the communities that I'm already a part of. So yeah, I would be fine. Just don't put me in a conservative community. That's all. That's all. Because I done had therapy. I'm not, I'm not somebody, I'm not a code switcher anymore. So I'm not a code switcher. I'm a woman that wants everybody to be happy, healthy, and to experience ease, flow, luxury, and pleasure. And I don't like fighting. I don't like fighting with people. I don't like hanging around people who want to be divisive. I like spending time with people who like to experience all of the joys that this world can offer while we exist on it. Yes. So yeah, that's it. The last ride that I did on Monday, I had to cuss 2 people out on the ride. I'm like, you talking to me like I'm not a Black woman, you talk, what you just venting? Is that what it is? Like, no, I was going through the inner city and I just felt so afraid. What, you was afraid because you were around people that look like me? Did you? I know you're focused on the road, but I need you to turn and look at me real quick. Okay. Because you talking to somebody that looked like the people that you was afraid of. Now, how do you, but yeah. So anyway, the point is, drop me off anywhere in the world. And as long as I can get some my dance shoes and get some lemon water from my voice, I am very content. And my bike, of course.
Spin the globe, drop a pin.
I'm good. I'm good. As long as my phone's charged up, because I believe Google Maps works everywhere. But yeah, I'm good. I'm good. A little too independent, I would say. I'm working on that part. But yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast. We really appreciate everyone who tunes in each week. If you enjoyed today's show, please support us by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember to tell your friends about the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast, so we can continue to have awesome conversations with everyday athletes just like you. Until next time, have an amazing week.